Hello and welcome to the Football Analyst. Today we'll be looking at the game between Liverpool and Arsenal that finished in a 2-2 draw, and what tactics Liverpool used to get back into the match. So this game's obviously going to have big implications on the title race and also Champions League football for Liverpool as well. And they had some interesting tactics, both with Trent Alexander-Arnold and obviously their wingers as well, in terms of Salah and at times Jota, and then when the subs came on also. So we'll take a look at their progression from the back third. So as you can see, generally they set up in a quite a weird formation. They had Alisson usually taking the kickouts, the goal kicks, and then Virgil van Dijk and Konate as those two centre-back options. As you can see, Trent has been tucked in to the pivot or central defensive midfield position, and in this sort of setup it meant that Konate was used as a primary option out of the back third. So a lot of times the ball would be moved from Alisson down to Konate, and he would look to play either Salah or Henderson to feet. And this was important because obviously Trent was tucked in. There was a lot of space here for Salah and Henderson to work into. So that was an option. Sometimes Alisson would just go direct into Salah's feet. What this also did with Trent tucking in here was that once they got the ball out to Salah, it dragged Gabriel along with him. And Arsenal did something similar. They tucked Zinchenko into Henderson as Henderson was playing, alongside Salah. And it meant that there was a big gap because the centre-back has been brought out. So it meant that anytime Salah got the ball, generally he looked to play Henderson through along the wing. And that opened up some opportunities for Liverpool, particularly in the second half. They really utilised that. So as we can see in this scenario, Alisson's got the ball, Konate's free. Usually Martinelli would be higher up on him, but this was from, a switch. They got the ball back out and recycled it. As you can see, we've got Trent in at CDM, also Fabinho in at CDM, and then the two options in Virgil van Dijk and Konate. So obviously, I think that's Odegaard here has picked up Virgil van Dijk. Gabriel Jesus has picked up Trent, and Martinelli's a bit slow to get to Konate. But as you can see, Alisson either has the option to kick it straight or direct to Salah, or use Konate as a secondary option to get it to Salah as well. In this certain scenario, he goes straight into Salah, and as you can see, it's dragged Gabriel out with him, and he's taken a great touch, and there's given that option of space out for Henderson to run onto and play the ball. In this scenario, Salah tries to do that straight away, and it just gets the pass wrong just a little bit, but generally Henderson was right on through, and this happened a few times in the game. As the game progressed, they utilised this more and more, creating more space, and this is just another example of Alisson going direct. As you can see, Trent's here, you've got Konate here, Martinelli's sort of stuck between both, trying to cover off Trent, and also being ready to press on Konate in case he gets the ball. And as you can see, Alisson's gone straight to Salah. Gabriel, as you can see, it's the 68th minute. Liverpool would have just scored just before halftime, and they're starting to get on top in the match. So Arsenal are a bit more tentative. Their backs and defensive midfielders are a bit more tentative. But as you can see, Zinchenko is caught behind Henderson. Henderson has made the move really early, and Gabriel's had to compensate his position, which has allowed Salah to receive quite an unpressured ball. And from here, he's able to just play Henderson on through into a really promising position. And without holdings, pretty good defensive, run back here, Darwin Núñez has a pretty clear line to receive across at the front post and potentially score. So this was a really effective method for Liverpool to progress the ball from the back third. As we move further on in the game, they were able to change things just slightly with some substitutes. Thiago coming in, and sometimes Henderson would do this as well. They brought the centre mids into and split into the back line which split the centre backs. So Alisson had another option to play to feet. What this did was it dragged a lot of Arsenal's players out of the shape they wanted to be in. Zinchenko was caught having to, push up a bit higher. Odegaard had to come up and defend the midfielder that had pushed deep to receive the ball. It also spread the wingers out, but most importantly, because Trent was tucked, it meant that either winger had a lot of space. So if it was Henderson that come forward, it meant that Salah had a lot of space. If it wasn't, and it was Thiago, it meant that, Jota or even Curtis Jones would drift out there sometimes when he was on the field. It meant that they would have a lot of space also to receive. As you can see, if Thiago in this instance receives the ball, Henderson has a lot of space here. So that was just another option. They did that sometimes, particularly Thiago, but it wasn't their main method of getting out, but it definitely came into play, later in the game. As you can see, it's the 78th minute. Henderson comes up to receive. This sort of helped free up Trent as well to receive the ball as the pivot. He's able to turn. As you can see, Zinchenko's had to come up to, put pressure on Trent so that he can't just turn around and waltz the ball up. And this has meant that there's a 1v1 and a lot of space here for Trent to hit a ball to Salah. And this turned into a bit of an opportunity. Salah couldn't quite get the ball under control, but as you can see, anytime Salah's in this type of situation, it can be very difficult to stop. So this was another method of them progressing the ball forward from the back third. As they got sort of further up the pitch, they started to play, a weird shape. It'd almost be a 3-2-5. So with Konate, Virgil van Dijk, and Andrew Robertson creating the back three. You've still got Salah and Henderson up high, sort of in a team. Also with Curtis Jones and Diogo Jota as well. In midfield, you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold still tucked in as the pivot, along with Fabinho, and then Gakpo, I always get that wrong, at striker. So from here, there's a lot of things that Liverpool could do. Obviously, you've got a 2v1 potentially out here. If Partey doesn't move across to help protect or take up 20, in this case that's Jota, pick up Jota, then it's just a simple ball through to a 2v1 opportunity. And in this scenario, that was Thiago. Thiago was able to receive from Konate. As you can see, the press is sort of a bit disjointed. Virgil van Dijk's here. They're trying to press, but they just can't get there quickly enough. Thiago receives the ball. The defenders, the right back's been pulled up, and it's allowed Gakpo to have a real clear line down the wing to receive a ball because Partey's been playing in midfield. He hasn't got back quick enough, and Holding's trying to protect a long ball for Darwin Núñez because these two, Gabriel and Zinchenko, have been protecting Henderson and Salah on the other wing in case the ball got switched out to that side. Another thing that they did was when they went out to that side, as you can see, Konate's played to Henderson. There's a 1v1. Salah's got a 1v1 now, and Gakpo's got a 1v1 with Holding also. So they were really able to exploit the 1v1s, really drag defenders out high, out from their back line. And so the midfielders had to get back and help out their defenders, which really messed up, their structure. And in this scenario, Henderson receives the ball, plays in Trent as the pivot. And as you can see, Salah's got a lot of space here. The ball could have been played somehow. They may have been able to work it around to get Salah free on the wing because he's got a lot of space here. Or in this case, Trent, because Gabriel's trying to play both, trying to protect against the direct ball, but also not let Salah have too much room. Trent goes direct and leads to quite a promising position. Unfortunately, the ball doesn't sit for Gakpo, but as you can see, he's a 1v1 inside the box with not much help there. So really promising positions. A lot of other things that they did every now and again. Sometimes they would play Gakpo in straight away, or Firmino when he came on, he would sometimes pick up spots in these areas. But there's a lot of, at this stage of the game, later in the game, they really dominated possession in midfield and quickly transferred the ball through. There was a lot of diagonals played, long diagonals out here, or if Virgil had the ball, he had long diagonals out the Salah when there was a 2v1. Just imagine the setup here flipped. So yeah, very effective at utilising those wide areas. Now, as they progressed further forward, attacking midfield, once again, they really exploited those 2v1s on the wing. In this case, Robertson was able to push up and be a bit more aggressive because they had field and territory dominance. And they really pushed Curtis Jones and Henderson up into the front line. So this is really a 2-3-5. You've got the two centre backs. Robertson joining the defensive line with Trent and Fabinho, and at times Thiago when he was subbed on. And then you've got Jones, Jota, Gakpo, Henderson and Salah as that front five. And what it did was it caused Arsenal to play with their back four slightly out of contact with Liverpool's forwards. And it meant that Saka had to either come back and help out on Jones, leaving Robertson open, or try and split the two and hope that Holding or White was able to cover for him. As you can see, this is the structure here. So you've got your two pivots here that have got a really dominating midfield, and then you've got your five on here. And what it did was it really pushed back Xhaka, Partey, forced Martinelli to come back, Saka to come back, and as you can see, there's the 2v1 over there. There's more opportunity here for 2v1. It's a bit wider, but as you can see, Robbo's out wide. Saka's worried about a switch out to there and is getting ready to press, but also Jones has slipped out wide, and Virgil van Dijk sees this, plays the ball. As you can see, they've got a real 5v5 here, and Xhaka realises this and is trying to get back. So they really exploited the wings and found it very easy to move the ball forward in this way. As they really got further forward, so in the front third now, with the ball on the wings, because generally they didn't play through the middle, Arsenal in the second half really sat back and tried to clog up the middle. So Odegaard came back. They really played a 4-4-2 or a 5-4-1 at times, because Partey would have to come back and protect against the five forwards of Liverpool, and even Xhaka would come back and almost make it a six-man back line. And what this did was it meant that because they were so far back because of Liverpool's aggressiveness, it meant that the centre defensive midfielders, or the centre midfielders, Trent, Thiago, Fabinho, could really monopolise any second balls that would come out of the box, because Odegaard was so deep, Martinelli was trying to help out as well, and it meant that either one of the centre backs could pick up the loose balls, because Jesus was trying to split them as well, so he couldn't quite get to any loose balls either. As you can see in this image, you've got, I'm pretty sure that's Curtis Jones out here. Robertson's trying to make a run, so even he's joining in on the front five, making it a front six. Kanate's pushed up on Jesus to make sure he doesn't get any loose balls. But you can see how many 1v1s are in the field of play now. So, got a 1v1, 1v1. Fabinho's looking after Odegaard, Trent on Martinelli, and then in the box, it's 1v1s everywhere. Xhaka's trying to come back and help out to create that outnumber. But that just means that Ben White's stuck on an island up here. There's there's 1v1s out there with Robertson making a run as well. It's a really smart run. Another image. So this is just before. So this is the second goal. This is a replay. So as you can see, the ball's out wide. They haven't quite got the numbers here yet. But as we progress through the vision, the ball gets crossed in, knocked out to Salah. Salah retrieves the ball. Henderson picks up Salah's position on the wing. Salah holds in midfield like Trent would do, and Trent moves forward to pick up Salah's wing position. As you can see up here, there's a lot of 1v1s, a lot of players in the box for Liverpool. And as Trent beats Zinchenko in a 1v1 situation, it meant that because of the so much players in the box, meant there were a lot of opportunities for 1v1s. Xhaka and Partey here aren't really impacting this area. There's a 1v1 there, 1v1, and then Firmino makes it a 1v1, and you've got Robertson at the back there with Saka creating a 1v1. Salah's even there on the periphery of the box, could receive a cutback and, shot on goal, but Trent's gone for the back post, and as we know, they scored. So in the end, across the field, there's some interesting tactics, mainly Trent tucking in. Sometimes Liverpool would be a bit susceptible to turning it over in midfield, or kicking a long ball and having it turned over, and Arsenal were really quick to try and get Martinelli out in the wing as Trent tried to recover, or even Henderson tried to cover for him. So that was one thing they were susceptible with, but overall I think the tactics were quite strong. I think a lot of people have underrated Liverpool's first half. Yes, they went 2-0 down for most of the first half, but I don't think it was as bad as what people thought. I just think they were very inefficient with their ball movement, weren't quite hitting those wings well enough. Arsenal's press was very good. Liverpool just lacked energy, but once they got fired up in the second half, they really started to dominate possession in those forward areas, particularly utilising the wings. And I think from there, that was really starved Arsenal possession, and from there they really won the game just by controlling territory. Just want to thank everyone for watching. This is my first video I've done, so things might not be as polished as maybe I would hope, but I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you maybe learn a thing or two. If you're new to the channel or you're new to football, I'd love you to subscribe. We can learn about it together. I've worked with professional and semi-professional clubs down here in Australia. I'm really looking forward to getting to know lots of leagues. I'll try to do all the big games. Champions League coming up, Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga, Liga 1, all the big games that happen here and there. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you support the channel. This did take a fair while to make. So if you do like it, or you just want to jump on board and grow the channel with me, that'd be great. So thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.